architecture is not just about drawing buildings, it's a much broader subject.
The thread that drives our ethos is the realization that shelter and space are one of the key things about mankind and life.
You're changing the environment of something, and it's always on paper, and then when you see it for real, it's just to see the transition from one to the other is incredible.
The responsibilities that an architect has in creating an environment, not just for the artistic creative world, but for the day-to-day people that have to live and work in the buildings.
Really good design is the epicenter of the whole studio.
Contributing to the city is a fundamental part of what architecture is about.
Cities are usually they're topographic, physical entities. It goes beyond physical context. It goes more into the social and political. The principle of city and context is really one of the environment within which we're placing a building.
All architecture is political. The reason the buildings need to talk to the world around them is because we live in a democracy and our buildings should reflect that democracy.
We stick out a bit, but in a good way, and we work in a building that we're all incredibly proud of, and I think we just stand a bit taller because of it, and I love that aspect of it.
It's quite humbling now to be in the Leadenhall Building and look out on a number of buildings that we've built and been involved in.
Being opposite Lloyd's of London, you cannot imagine the pressures that placed on us, because essentially we were placing what is commonly termed a speculative office building directly opposite one of the most bespoke headquarters.
I sit in a position where I more or less can reach across 40 years just by stretching my hand.
This box surrounded by towers could not be placed anywhere else on Earth. It's a product of where it is.
Lloyd's of London says a lot about expressing the complexity of a building by literally turning it inside out.
To allow the understanding of the basic core of fabric that holds up what's around us. We have many, many other components that make buildings that form part of our vocabulary. It's a celebration of mass-produced industrial craftsmanship.
The main constants there are between the Lloyd's of London building next door to the Leadenhall Building is in this sense of the pure legibility of how you see different components of the building come together.
The systems drive our architecture. It's not just the drawing or the design.
Those systems then begin to imply into a more connected theme, which relates to legibility. It's this principle that things never stay the same.
Places and spaces we make allow for the unknown as far as possible.
Space that can basically be hacked about, any world can be created within it. And that's when we start exploring through all of the engineering ideas with our consultants, how to create these volumes and give them fabric and richness without necessarily finding ourselves in decorative motif land. So it's about celebrating the very substance of what buildings are made of.
The ability to design, the ability to make a business out of it are totally entwined.
The key thing for RSHP is the interdependence of its business acumen with its creativity.
Inevitably, by designing a component and then using repetition to ensure economy, the economy is reflected also in a more energy-efficient approach.
One of the driving principles of the practice has always been one of responsibility and sustainability.
Primary energy use is the thing that makes renewables more viable in the future.
Teamwork is a big strength right across the practice, of course.
Because of the way we work, we develop strong relationships with our clients, with our consultants, planners and other team members.
Because of the way our work expresses the guts of the building, the structure, the services.
As a dyslexic, I had tremendous disadvantages. Everybody called me stupid, and it was my mother that gave me the confidence. Then the team gave me confidence to get over those problems.
The next generations in the office, it's always exciting to see young people come in and grow.
The idea that you share your profits, that we have no ownership in the office, to me that's really critical. So we have a responsibility.
This practice has always been slightly more horizontal in its structure.
We don't want to create spaces that can generate hierarchies.
The constitution of the practice, I think, is something that's unique to Roger Stirk Harbour. It underpins everything that we do and what we stand for, and I truly believe it brings the office together.
The Constitution dictates that 20% of our profit goes to charity.
It would be fantastic to see the practice engaged more in public buildings.
The original Athenian promise, which is, I shall leave the city more beautiful than I entered it.
I can see this constantly evolving skyline, and it's very interesting to see the different buildings that are popping up.
I'm just fascinated in terms of the levels of richness that one can achieve just by understanding what a building is.
I'd like to see boundaries being pushed.
I'm still working away at 84 because I enjoyed.
I'm proud of the fact that we stand out like a sore thumb in the city for being here. That when you come up in the lifts, you go past grey, 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 beige, beige, our floor, and then back to grey. And we're the misfits, but in a really good way. And I think that is quite invigorating, that we don't fit in and we are different and we're proud of it.